Brace yourselves for an epic cosmic showdown. The Viltrumite War is here, and it's packed with jaw-dropping battles, shocking betrayals, and a fight for the fate of the universe. Will Mark, Nolan, and the coalition of planets take down the ultimate threat? Buckle up, this is Invincible like you've never seen before. During the preparation for war, it was the period when Alan went to help Nolan break out of prison after being sentenced to death. Then both would join the coalition of planets led by Thaedus, the first-generation Viltrumite rebel. They would carry out missions to gather useful resources for the war and seek help from allies across the galaxy because this war was no joke. It was the elimination of the greatest threat in the universe. In their journey through the cosmos, the duo Nolan and Alan would gain many more allies for the war, including Space Racer, who possessed a gun that could cut through anything. They would also have the poison from the Scourge plant that weakened Viltrumites, and there would be allies like the Jacket Group led by Zach Thompson living on Earth. Unfortunately, Battle Beast had disappeared, or else we would have had him join us as another ally. Now the coalition of planets' resources were quite ready, lacking only the important force on Earth like Invincible. During this time on Earth, our Mark would have to defeat various Sequids, including Universal, who would later become an ally, and there would be those three odd folks. Plus, he had to overcome his own dark side. Finally, Mark returned to being his original self in the first Invincible suit and was ready to fight in the war. The timeline would be close to when Nolan and Alan came to Earth. Both came following Mark, along with Tech Jacket on Earth, who, according to the comic, defeated 2 evil Invincibles by himself. Plus, in the series, he also soloed another one because the Tech Jacket on Earth was Zach Thompson, who happened to encounter Geldanian technology strong enough to harm Viltrumites. He would have his own separate story too. If anyone is interested and wants us to tell the Tech Jacket story, feel free to comment and let us know. In this gathering, the coalition would get Mark, Zach, and Oliver, who came tagging along as another person. They had strong manpower indeed, but on the way back, they were ambushed by someone in space. Nolan's team was scattered in different directions, with the worst hit being Mark, Zach, and Oliver's side, who encountered Conquest, who had escaped from the Hell prison. This time, he was brainwashed by the Viltrumite King to go revenge and kill everyone on Earth without mercy. Now that he had nothing left to lose, he would be 10 times more brutal than before, coming with his son and another Viltrumite warrior. This was definitely going to be a disaster. At this point, the Viltrumite War had officially begun ahead of schedule. After meeting face-to-face again, Conquest was extremely happy that he would get to have a revenge battle with Mark. I could hardly wait to break you again, and this time I have direct orders to eliminate you and your people without mercy. I was ordered to come kill without raising anyone, and drag out Nolan's son like you to fight and kill him in front of everyone. Prepare yourself, but I'll save you for last after slaughtering everyone until it's clean. As soon as he finished speaking, Oliver, who was listening, got hot-blooded and rushed at Conquest recklessly. Mark, who was about to help, got blocked by a Viltrumite, while Zach was confused about what to do. Don't we need to plan anything? Where are their weak points? Where should we attack them? I'm totally confused. And with that confidence, Oliver got beaten for the 20th time, while Zach fought another Viltrumite warrior who hated Geldanians to the core. But the point was, their deadly beam rays couldn't do anything to the Viltrumites. On Conquest's side, he was fighting Nolan, who had regained consciousness and felt very honored to kill this demon of the star, along with his son, who was stronger than his father. During this intense fight, Nolan was about to warn that Conquest was dangerous, but Mark said he had beaten him before and knew his moves well. They fought fiercely while Zach got beaten up with his mask broken, waiting for the system to regenerate. Oliver was like a punching bag as usual. Both sides exchanged punches and buffs, with the main focus being on Mark and Conquest. Finally, Conquest told Mark that some idiot somewhere on Earth was foolish enough to imprison him in the middle of a desert. That's how I survived. Mark got annoyed and realized that person who would do that must definitely be Cecil. But there was no time to think much because the battle was getting intense and would get even more heated when Viltrumite reinforcements arrived. Seeing things going badly, Nolan ordered everyone to take cover and retreat as far as possible. The person in the worst situation was Oliver, who couldn't breathe and had to go find air on a nearby planet. Conquest noticed this and was about to follow to finish him off, but Mark wouldn't allow another mistake. He rushed at full speed and managed to grab Conquest just in time. As soon as he got the chance, Mark immediately choked Conquest's neck, but he smiled at getting to fight someone skilled like Mark. They battled in midair with Nolan searching for both, unable to find them, and coming to help, because he knew well that Conquest was known as the Viltrumite Devil. If he didn't hurry to help Mark, things would definitely go badly. But it was too late, because down below, Conquest took advantage of Mark's lost concentration to stab through his stomach just like he did to Eve, causing Mark's intestines to start spilling out. But with Mark's determination not to die at all costs, if this bastard didn't die first, he squeezed his neck even harder while Mark grew weaker and Conquest started gasping for air. Both were at death's door with fading consciousness until finally everything went quiet. Nolan and Oliver followed to the scene and found that Conquest had died from suffocation, with his hands still gripping Mark's spilled intestines. Now Mark was critically injured and about to lose his invincible status. On the Coalition of Planets side, Thaedus was very upset hearing that the ship captains transporting Nolan's group were ambushed with no survivors because they were crucial to the plan for opening war against the Viltrumites. But never mind. I understand we're not ready yet. Let me be alone for a while, things will get better. Thaedus knew himself that he was hot-tempered from the Viltrumite blood in him, so they would think of new ways later. Meanwhile, on the Viltrumite warship, Viltrumite warrior Lucan came up to rest on the ship because they couldn't find any of them anywhere. Don't know where they're hiding. Conquest's life signal is gone too. So they decided to retreat and regroup first. But the point was, they didn't know that Zack had changed his suit to a small dome attached to the ship, along with Alan, the strong alien. This time, there would definitely be some losses. During the same time, Nolan's group on the planet decided to bury Conquest's body there. Of course, Oliver, who saw this, was dissatisfied. Why do we have to hold a funeral for him? He hurt me. He did terrible things to the universe. Nolan gave the reason that it was the Viltrumite way. Even though he was an evil demon, as a Viltrumite warrior, he was one of the greatest warriors, and his passing deserved honor as one of the most loyal warriors to the Empire. This was the way and culture we should know about. As for Mark's condition, oh boy, it looked terrible, absolutely unwatchable. They had to use Nolan's cloak to wrap around his body to keep the intestines from spilling out. This time it looked like he'd need several months of recovery. But this is a good thing, son, because we'll have time to get to know each other better, Oliver said. After this, the father-son duo would spend time adventuring together in place of the injured Mark. While this was happening, the Coalition would send patrol units to search for the missing battle beast throughout space until they found him floating among the Viltrumite wreckage he had fought most recently, frozen in the same condition as shown in the series at the end of Season 3. Now the warrior hungry for excellent combat had returned to the Coalition side. Meanwhile, Thaedus came to check the Scourge virus again to make sure before being called outside by the planning alien duo. They reported that the Scourge poison was still working well and effective enough to weaken Viltrumites. They also mentioned that their captains being ambushed on the way back from Earth counted as a declaration of war from their side. The question was, how did they know we were planning to overthrow them? But let's put that aside for now. If we remain passive and don't fight back, we'll just be playing into their hands. We're just waiting for orders from you, great Thaedus. After assessing the situation, Thaedus realized they should strike back rather than let the enemy act unilaterally. He ordered the Coalition to prepare. Now we will attack them back, with the Allies preparing for a major counter-offensive. The main thing was Nolan trying to teach various things to Oliver, including hunting, killing, and survival skills, living father-son life to the fullest after not seeing each other since he was a baby. This relationship would gradually improve. On another front, Zack was showing off to Alan that his smooth face was about to grow a mustache. Looking at Alan's face, you could tell how envious he was, but it was understandable why he bragged because wearing the suit would slowly kill bacteria for Zack continuously, including shaving his mustache and beard, leaving his face smooth. But just as he was bragging, suddenly the Viltrumite ship became chaotic. Zack panicked thinking they had to fight and been caught, but Alan turned with a mocking smile. "No, these are our people! I sent the signal to our people myself!" My suit has a tracking device in case you didn't know, so no matter where I disappear in the universe, the team will always find me. Plus, when enemies try to detect, they can't detect my frequency either. This thing is cooler than the shaving device from your suit by far. After the banter, they would see the image of massive coalition forces led by Space Racer. This time, it was their turn to take action. At the same time, Nolan would prepare to join and ordered Oliver to keep giving water to Mark throughout his recovery period. But just as they were chatting, suddenly Oliver asked his friend, "How does father feel about mother? I mean mother on my Earth. Mark's mother, I mean Debbie. Does father really love her?" Nolan's response would be extremely long until the summarizer had to hold his head, but this was also a very important dialogue. We'll summarize the main points. "Of course I love her, son. I really love Debbie. After being imprisoned on Viltrumite, I settled many things. It's natural for our people to have the right to fall in love with anyone, but we don't usually care about them much. Humans are the same because Viltrumites have lifespans lasting 1,000 years. Soon, they'll leave us first while we still stand alone. These relationships aren't eternal. What I once said to Debbie, I still feel guilty about to this day, but I'll be honest, living on Earth changed me. Seeing humans grow from children to teenagers to adults made me feel very attached to them. At first, I just came to explore, wanting to try living like a human, but getting close to Debbie was different. I thought I just wanted to try living like a human and then leave, but it was completely different. I started getting genuinely attached to her. We had Mark and I was proud of your brother as a human, not as a Viltrumite. Initially, I thought I wanted to watch Mark's powers awaken, see how much Viltrumite DNA would integrate with human, whether your brother would be stronger than me. But eventually, I forgot all that and lived happily as a human. I was happy being Debbie's husband, Mark's father. I gradually forgot about my powers and duties completely until one day I came back to think alone and went astray again. I chose to return to the mission the Empire gave me, abandoning my role as husband and father, leaving the life with the woman I loved most. The physical and emotional damage that happened to Debbie and Earth is something I feel guilty about every time I think back to it. We Viltrumites were never taught to kill anything, so now I have nothing left on Earth. I know I made mistakes, but everything is too late to fix. I can only move forward and atone for my sins. This was the entire essence of what Nolan expressed in his long outpouring. Because after this, he wouldn't talk much about this topic again. Hopefully everyone understands this old man better. Alan and Zack returned safely and were assigned to go to Arath planet where Viltrumites had established a base. Get ready, we need to go help our allies. But it seemed like someone wasn't really listening, because Zack was just rambling about his newly grown mustache. Events during this time wouldn't be too dramatic. Oliver would exchange opinions with Nolan, Mark waited for recovery, and the Coalition side got good news that Battle Beast had joined their side, though he really came because he wanted to fight the tough Viltrumites. But with good news comes bad news. Alan and Zack couldn't hold off the enemy and had to lose allies from Arath planet because Nolan and Mark, their main forces, were still unreachable. The army's strength was weakened until Mark and Nolan returned to launch a full-scale counteroffensive. During this time, Mark would gradually recover. His middle spine was starting to reconnect, while the Coalition of Planets side was about to be in trouble when the mole that Thaedus had been hunting was revealed to be one of his advisors who had been secretly providing information to THRAGG for many years. Eventually, THRAGG felt the information the mole provided was insufficient. In the end, we'll lose colonies back to the Coalition of Planets anyway, so you're useless, and I'll bring forces to attack Talescria and overthrow the Coalition's main center myself. Until then, you can shut down the immune system for me. Hope you understand what I'm saying. Then THRAGG cut the line. After the Viltrumite King's declaration, the mole was trembling with fear, knowing that the greatest threat was about to visit the Coalition of Planets in just a few moments. During this period, the coalition side still didn't know and was calling together allied forces for a meeting. We would see leaders from many different planets. But before Thaedus could start the meeting to counterattack, loud crashing sounds erupted. Damn, why are they attacking ahead of schedule? Now the Viltrumites, led by Anissa, had invaded here successfully, with General Craig watching the rear and coming with countless Viltrumite warships. Today, someone was definitely going to lose. As the Viltrumite war was intensifying, the father-son duo were still chatting and exchanging opinions, completely unaware. But luckily, Mark recovered from his injuries, ready to be a punching bag for the new villains. As soon as he woke up, Mark was still in a state of fear. I handled him, right? Conquest is gone now, right? Yes, son, you did very well. Oliver added that he was dead and got his ass kicked completely. At first, Mark was confused about how he did it, but Nolan said Mark was much stronger than he thought. Of course, Alan and Zach's side was ready too. Now there's an urgent distress signal from Talescria. We need to hurry. Zach, who was about to finish, had to go in that condition. While the war was heading to the coalition of planets on planet Talescria, on one of the Viltrumite warships, we would see Thragg sitting and talking with Argyl's skull, the former emperor who was killed by Thaedus that day. It was the day everything began. Thaedus's defiance against the emperor started causing rebellions against the empire. Of course, the person who founded the coalition of planets did so to oppose all Viltrumites. Everything started from Thaedus. That traitor will meet his end, and now Thaedus must pay and restore glory to the noble Viltrumite empire. I will bring back your honor, Lord Argyl. I will be the one to avenge you. Thragg declared war magnificently while below. Thaedus tried to help as many allies as possible and caught who the mole was. But before he could rush to deal with that person, General Craig came to intercept first. But, very luckily, reinforcements had arrived at the battlefield. Tech Jacket's destructive beam shot at General Craig and Alan appeared. Each side paired up for one-on-one battles, giving their all to protect Thaedus, the coalition leader, safely. But fighting Viltrumites one-on-one wasn't easy at all, causing the team to lose their advantage. Just when the team was about to fail, luck sided with them again when the most important force appeared just in time. The three Viltrumite father-son had arrived. Mark, Oliver, and Nolan's arrival made the coalition side much more powerful in this battlefield. Nolan, the top warrior, and Alan, the upgraded alien, could solo anyone, while Mark and Oliver would take on destroying Viltrumite warships, cutting their forces as much as possible. During this, there was a moment when the warship with Thragg on it was damaged, so he had to sacrifice his life to protect Argyl's skull. The point was that just as everyone had to help salvage the shipwreckage to prevent it from falling and destroying the city, suddenly Nolan and Alan noticed that the Viltrumites were starting to retreat one by one until they all disappeared. After Thragg took the skull and flew out into space, the coalition side was left confused about what had happened. The truth was that Thragg had miscalculated, not thinking the coalition would be this strong because they had Viltrumites helping them. So he wasn't willing to risk defeat, especially with Argyl's skull nearly being destroyed. So Thragg ordered an immediate retreat to regroup first. In this first round, the coalition of planets was victorious, but little did they know this was just a warm-up because they would learn from the traitorous alien's mouth that now there was nothing they could do. Thaedus tried to press him about why they fled, and he said, "It's too late now, my lord. You have almost no hope of winning this war." They said if this battle is defeated, they'll return to planet Viltrum and gather all remaining forces to come back and attack here completely. All Viltrumites will return to Talescria, all of them. It's over. You have no way to resist the entire Viltrumite army. Knowing this, Thaedus had to think hard and plan to respond. Maybe we don't have to wait for them to come here, but we attack to destroy them there first. That might be more promising. This would be the beginning of the plan that Thaedus was about to tell everyone in the next period. During the time when the coalition of planets at Talescria was recovering, Thaedus would give everyone an inspirational speech that now the enslaved colonists of Viltrumites across the galaxy had all risen up to fight, with over 80% responding to join the coalition of planets and oppose them. Look, our coalition side is now much stronger than ever. They've switched sides to join us. The Viltrumite war has reached its end. After Thaedus finished his inspirational speech, the scene would cut to show us the coalition team consisting of Tech Jacket with Gettledanian technology, the three Viltrumite father-son Mark, Nolan, and Oliver, Alan the upgraded alien, Space Racer holding the godly gun, and Battle Beast, the war-hungry warrior. Just the main forces of the coalition side were already incredibly powerful. This time they would definitely win for sure. The 7 of them headed to the spacecraft to prepare for the battle during the final phase of the war. Mark, who had recovered, would be very confused about himself, feeling guilty for killing Viltrumites like Conquest. This was normal for righteous heroes who would feel guilty after accidentally killing someone. But don't think too much about it, son. This is war anyway, there has to be bloodshed. Nolan came to give positive encouragement to Mark before Thaedus ordered everyone to prepare to disembark from the ship and slowly fly in formation because it would make them harder to detect. Thaedus told everyone that in Viltrum's orbit, there would be a graveyard with Viltrumite corpses floating everywhere. Don't panic, we'll slowly infiltrate gradually until we reach the planet's surface. But what nobody expected was that they could read the game well enough to know that Thaedus would have to bring forces here quietly, so they ordered Lucan to secretly hide among the floating corpses in space and ambush Thaedus from behind. Damn, so you're going to do this, huh? It seemed like the battle would start sooner than expected because the Viltrumites had all been waiting for them. Lucan was just rambling about something, but before he could say anything more, Battle Beast took him out first. Stop rambling and fight me! The superheated lion didn't care about anything except fighting. After the sudden battle erupted, the real horror was about to follow when the coalition team looked down and saw THRAGG flying up with dozens of Viltrumite warriors, declaring intimidatingly, "Anyone who dares betray the Viltrumite Empire, prepare to die." After this, the Viltrumite war battle would explode. Space Racer led the team with the Ragnar he controlled into clash with them. Each side attacked each other, and we could see that his gun that cut through everything could handle Viltrumites in one shot, making this battle very chaotic. Everyone who had issues with each other went to settle them in this scene. Many people got to show their skills, especially Alan, who loved peace, but when it was time to unleash his power without holding back, he took out 2 Viltrumites. One got his head ripped off, another got punched through the stomach and out the mouth. Oliver also tried to make himself useful, but didn't seem to accomplish much. However, while everyone was fighting, as soon as THRAGG came out, the Space Racers scattered in different directions. There was even a moment when Mark had a chance to solo THRAGG, but when Mark came to deliver his strongest hit to the stomach, he completely missed. Instead, THRAGG countered with one combo that injured Mark again. That wasn't enough. Oliver, seeing Mark getting beaten, spoke in his style. "Hey Bareface, you're pretty good. I'll kick your ass back." But as soon as he approached, THRAGG easily stopped his punch and grabbed Oliver's arm. Is this kid very brave or just talking nonsense? Pretty funny, right? Let's see, if I do this, can you still ramble? Just THRAGG's words sent chills down everyone's spine, but he followed with a punch. Just one punch that made Oliver's mouth split and also broke the arm he was holding. This scene made everyone extremely heated, especially Nolan and Mark, because no matter how you looked at it, Oliver definitely wouldn't survive. "You bastard! You killed my brother!" Mark was furious and rushed to attack THRAGG recklessly, but whatever he did barely affected him, just a few drops of blood flowing out. "You're going to be very scared, aren't you? After dealing with Conquest, you think you can challenge me?" THRAGG taunted Mark while his face looked like this, making Mark even more heated, but he still couldn't hit him. But at this moment, everything locked in perfectly for the coalition side. Even though they couldn't fight THRAGG and many were injured, everyone did very well because Thaedus' plan was about to succeed. They had waited for THRAGG and all Viltrumites to come out of the planet, and with such loose defenses, it was their time. "Hey, Space Racer, come with me!" The important forces withdrew from fighting the Viltrumites suddenly and changed targets to head toward planet Viltrum. Tech Jacket ordered everyone to come with him. They only had one chance. "Space Racer, are you ready?" As soon as he finished, everyone aimed at the planet and Thaedus' plan began working. It was a plan to lure all Viltrumites out of the planet, and Space Racer would use his gun that could pierce through anything to shoot down to the planet's core. Just as the bullet was about to pierce the core, the main forces would rush toward planet Viltrum simultaneously. Then the planet would shatter, and finally, even though Alan and Zach were obstructed, the core trio of Thaedus, Nolan, and Mark were enough for this mission. Faster, faster! Are you ready? Now the 3 Viltrumite bullets rushed down together, piercing the planet's core, while Space Racer's ray pierced right to the center, and boom! The planet that sent power exploded, becoming just asteroid fragments. The plan to destroy the Viltrumite Empire planet that Thaedus had laid out succeeded magnificently. This explosion caused the war to halt. Nobody knew whether they were dead or alive. Everyone scattered and regrouped. Mark quickly appeared to hug the unconscious Oliver while Thaedus declared the end of the war. Poor Viltrumites, now the war is over. Your planet has become debris. You have nowhere to hide anymore. This universe is about to deal with you. You have no choice left. Surrender now. Thaedus' declaration made Thragg shed tears, but it wasn't for surrender. In his heart now, there was only anger toward those who betrayed their own Viltrumite people. You think destroying our planet will make me bow down to you, traitor? You destroyed our culture. You destroyed our homeland. You destroyed Viltrumite history. But that's not everything. Even if nothing remains, one thing still exists. My revenge. Finished speaking, the enraged Thragg rushed at Thaedus. Someone like you ordering me to surrender? Then prepare yourself. Thragg went full power and easily beheaded Thaedus, while Alan and Nolan couldn't react in time. He raised the traitor's head to intimidate the coalition forces. Lord Argal, I have avenged you completely. And now, it's my turn. This scene made the coalition side shocked and extremely demoralized that Thaedus, their leader, was brought down by Thragg so easily. This guy is the real deal. The most dangerous one has entered the game. Before Thragg could crush Thaedus' skull in his hand, the coalition side was now full of obvious fear and terror. Mark had no composure because Oliver was dying. Battle Beast was unconscious. Now only 2 were left standing, Nolan and Alan. They would have to prepare to face the most dangerous enemy. Are you ready, friend? Okay, I've been ready since birth. Good courage, but I guarantee you'll be next. Thragg declared war. Now, from a war that was about to end with the coalition about to win, it turned out that once the dangerous one like Thragg entered the battlefield, he alone could flip the game completely. I'll start with you then. Thragg rushed straight at Mark, who was brave enough to solo him. Mark's signature was his toughness and endurance. He fought back recklessly. You killed my brother. But when he countered, it was barely different from punching a wall, plus that wall was fighting back. Viltrum, history, glory, both yours and mine. Thragg spoke while punching Mark's face blow by blow before squeezing his face with both hands until his eyeballs were about to pop out. For the crime of destroying the future of Viltrumite Empire restoration. In an instant, Nolan intervened and saved Mark's eyes from popping out of their sockets. Give up that idea, Nolan. You're finished. No way out. Of course, Freddie Mercury wouldn't give up and revealed the ultimate secret to Nolan that he had known all along about Thaedus' betrayal from the beginning. But he had to hide this from other Viltrumites because Lord Argal, the former Viltrumite king, was poisoned and killed by Thaedus, plunging the Empire into a dark age. That was bad enough. But then learning that Thaedus used his own DNA to wipe out his own species, if everyone knew this, Viltrumites would definitely have civil war. The thing was, as soon as Argal was assassinated, planet Viltrum would never be the same again, which became the starting point for them to rise up and fight each other to find the strong and eliminate the weak for over 1,000 years. Even though everyone still didn't know the virus secret, they were still genocided anyway. Honestly, if we look from Thragg's perspective having to take over, it was something painful that over 99.99% of his population was killed. But if we look from another angle, Nolan saw it differently. He didn't care what Thragg's reasons were. He only cared that Viltrumites, including himself, deserved to be genocided for all the terrible things they had done. We don't deserve to live like this. That's why I don't care what you say, but we deserved it. After finishing, the 2 mustached guys continued fighting, but there was a moment when Battle Beast intervened because he wanted to fight the strongest Thragg. But no matter how godly the lion was, Thragg threw him away like cotton, knocking him unconscious in one move. He went flying through the Viltrumites, who were about to dominate the battle. Alan got separated from being ganged up on by Viltrumites. Space Racer, seeing things going badly, and that the strongest person on their side was about to fail, said, "Alan's revival like this means we're definitely screwed. Let's retreat and regroup first. You choose, stay and die cleanly, or flee now and bring reinforcements later." Space Racer used his gun to shoot through the Viltrumites continuously and managed to escape with Tech Jacket and another person. They had to leave Mark and Nolan there because at least those two were still Viltrumites and could probably do more than they could. This left everyone who wasn't fighting with others to focus on the battle of the strongest Viltrumite. We would see the father-son duo staring at the Viltrumite king with blood-soaked fists with extreme fear. Mark's voice was very shaky, asking Nolan, "Dad, how are we going to handle this guy?" But Nolan's answer from his mouth shocked everyone because the answer was, "We can't. We have absolutely no chance of beating Thragg. The odds are 0 without decimals." He had to grow up to be the successor when the previous king died, so he was trained from birth to be the strongest among us and taught to learn every branch of combat arts. So he's not just strong from birth, but also well-versed in everything, and smart as acid. Simply put, Thragg was a premium Viltrumite. In theory, we ordinary Viltrumites had almost no way to bring him down ourselves. There was a top-secret of Mark and Nolan hidden here, but they wouldn't tell now. We'll reveal it in the future. During this time when hope was fading, Thragg didn't wait long to extinguish that light by choking the 2 strongest men on Earth like cotton. "Yes, your father spoke correctly. You have no way to beat me." Before Nolan would submit to defeat, he used his last strength to tell his son he loved him. "No matter what happens from here, Dad loves you." Then he kicked Thragg's hands away from Mark. "Forget about Dad and run away right now." As soon as Mark broke free from Thragg's hands, he quickly flew away in extreme fear. But nightmares continued haunting him because Thragg's speed was godly level. He caught up immediately before grabbing Mark's head to smash his face and was about to end it. Nolan, who came to help, got his stomach slashed until his intestines spilled out. You're faster than I thought, but still not fast enough." Now Thragg was in the worst mood. Nolan, Viltrum's elite soldier, had become weak after being on Earth too long. Even in his final moments, he still shows weakness. "If so, I'll eliminate your weakness myself." Thragg decided to handle Mark, who made Nolan so soft and weak, but at one moment he suddenly hesitated. "Why are you hesitating, my lord?" General Craig asked, and suddenly Thragg's attitude changed. After seeing the father-son bond and care, "I've decided. These people are still Viltrumites like us. We still need our people. I'll spare their lives." General Craig, hearing this, got heated. "My lord, forgive me, but I must refuse. We need only Viltrumites loyal to the Empire." After finishing, he rushed to finish the job, but Thragg blocked him and told him to trust him. "If we want our empire to survive and rebuild faster, we need them. So now let them live for now. I have an idea." After this, the Viltrumites would leave as if they had some plan. After the battle at this planet ended, the Coalition sent people back to survey and found the father-son duo critically injured floating among the debris of the shattered planet Viltrum and the lifeless orbits of their people. 2 weeks later, Mark woke up from his coma and met Alan in a strange suit. The story would reveal that Alan had been appointed as the new leader of the Coalition of Planets after Thaedus' death because no one else was suitable. He was both strong and skilled at negotiation, earning the title Alan the Great from now on. He would take the position somewhat confused because no one else would take the responsibility, but it turned out well because Alan would secretly whisper to Mark that this position had really good salary, might as well take it since it wasn't a loss. Then Alan would take Mark to see Nolan, who had recovered a few days before him. We would see that the Coalition, damaged from the Viltrumite invasion, had been restored successfully, and Oliver was still not awake, being treated in a capsule with cybernetic organs in the parts that Thragg had damaged. Here, we would see another Viltrumite secret. that their brains could survive in space for a very long time without needing oxygen, allowing them to hold their breath for extended periods. Plus, Oliver was even more special because he had mixed DNA with Thraxon, allowing him to breathe longer than Viltrumites, so he was more godly than his brother and father in this regard. During this time, Zach Thompson would walk in to greet everyone as if nothing had happened. Mark was confused about what happened during his coma. Didn't the Viltrumites attack them? Alan explained that no, they didn't do anything after that battle. They just disappeared without a trace after the war, vanishing into thin air. Nobody knew where they went or why they didn't continue attacking. After this, Alan, as the Coalition of Planets leader, would explain everything the Coalition did while Mark was still unconscious, a very long explanation that made readers hold their heads. But in summary, the Coalition searched for Viltrumites everywhere throughout the galaxy, but found no trace. It was possible they were regrouping somewhere, and would likely oppress people on some planet to convert them to their side and prepare to enter the Viltrumite Empire. After Mark heard Alan's speculation, he suddenly got spine chills. Damn it, I understand everything now, Alan. Thrag spared my life, and Dad's for a reason. The fact that I survived wasn't coincidence. Viltrumites aren't the type to show mercy easily, and they're not the type to hide in holes either. Think about it, we destroyed their planet Viltrum. At that moment, Thrag could have killed me any time out of rage. But he chose not to, because he probably has something to make me suffer far worse than death. Mark then thought of the worst possible thing. Damn it, that's why you can't find them, because they're not in this galaxy. The Viltrumites are going to invade Earth. This is definitely going to be a disaster. We think Thrag's thinking was very correct. Death isn't what traitors should receive. Having to watch what you love be destroyed before your eyes is more painful than death itself. Thrag had just been hit hard, so he had the idea to invade Earth and destroy what Mark loved most. After this, the story would show us images of destruction on Earth. The Guardians of the Globe all dead, people panicking in terror. Cecil was handled, Eve didn't survive, even Debbie and Paul were swept away unknowingly. Now Earth had reached true devastation from the Viltrumites led by Thrag. While on the ship heading back to Earth, Mark would completely lose it, not looking at what was happening on Earth until Nolan had to tell him to calm down. We're not even sure if they went to Earth or not. Mark was like, it has to be. Look at that guy's face. He wants us to suffer. He'll destroy us from the inside. That's why he let us live. But we still can't do anything about it, son. You need to stay cooler, think slowly, get your composure back. This coalition ship is very fast. In a few days, we'll reach Earth. Don't let yourself be in this state, son. At the same time, Alan at Talescria would be visibly worried, not as comfortable as before, because now as the Coalition of Planets leader, he had to carry many burdens, including the missing Viltrumites who could appear anytime. But most importantly, he was thinking about his war comrade Zach Thompson a lot. We would see our tech jacket with his mustache fully grown. He tried to come talk to the father-son duo. Hey, I'm an Earth human too, and whatever happens, you can always call me. I'm ready to help. But it seemed like he came at the wrong time because the father-son were tense with each other, so he got ignored. Fine, you guys suck anyway, and Zach walked away sulking. It looked like he was probably thinking about his partner Alan too. While the ship was heading to Earth, Nolan would sit and contemplate that he would leave Oliver with Alan and worry that when his son woke up, he'd feel alone again. These human feelings are so foolish. How will I deal with these feelings? Earth had changed him tremendously. Nolan complained that from being emotionless like Viltrumites, after absorbing humanity, he started caring about others. But this caring also made him suffer greatly. This emotion was something people on Earth were born with, but Mark understood well, making him envision the horrible image of his family being slaughtered by Thrag. At this moment, the ship would announce they were about to enter Earth's orbit. Nolan quickly went to prepare with Zach about what to do, have him break heroes out of prison, alert the Coalition of Planets that reinforcements were coming, and various other tasks. But the person who wasn't waiting was Mark. He didn't wait, and as soon as they reached the Milky Way galaxy, he broke through the ship's door and flew to Earth by himself. But when he arrived on Earth, hey, everything was normal. People were living their lives as usual, with nothing strange at all. The image of Earth on fire that we saw didn't actually happen. It was all from Mark's hallucinations caused by his fear of Thragg. We could see that Thrag's wickedness and intimidating presence was so great that even without seeing him, Mark was still hallucinating and having mental breakdowns. It must have been truly terrifying. But at least now the hallucinations weren't real. As soon as Mark surveyed, he sighed like a mountain was lifted from his chest and smiled. But that relief would return to extreme suffocation when both sensed the wicked aura around them. Damn it! Someone is flying behind them! Don't tell me Thragg appeared in front of everyone in the most shocking way! What Mark speculated was 100% correct, and as soon as Mark saw that guy's face, his Viltrumite hot blood kicked in. I swear if you touch them even a little bit, I'll kill you. I handled Conquest already. Next, it's your turn. But that bravado was indigestible. Thragg casually swatted Mark away and said he didn't come to fight and wouldn't do anything to this world, at least not right now. He said they could choose to fight him all day if they wanted, but he wasn't here alone. If they insisted on fighting, he couldn't guarantee when the Viltrumites disguised and mixed among Earth's humans would start causing chaos. Thragg wanted to offer a ceasefire treaty because now there were only 37 remaining Viltrumites and some were still injured. But believe me, that's enough to set this world on fire. With just our numbers, we can kill all life on this planet while you can only watch, which is fair payback for what you did to our planet. Before making the most shocking statement, this war is over. I surrender. But Thragg's surrender would be under one condition only. You took our planet from us, so we'll take your planet instead. Before revealing the secret to both that he had sent all remaining Viltrumites to infiltrate among humans successfully. We would see Lucan, Anissa, General Craig, they all disguised themselves among humans, blending in indistinguishably. Thragg said the spies sent wouldn't signal anyone. We'll live quietly, silently, not interfering with any events on this world. This is the plan to restore Viltrumites on this planet for thousands of years to come because humans are compatible with Viltrumites until they nearly become pure blood. From now on, future generations will automatically join with us, and soon after, the Viltrumite Empire will gradually expand. Think about what you'll cause to happen in the future. We'll have new citizens born stronger than before, stronger than Earth humans. We'll have a bright new future, full of quality population. And this is what will happen from now on. If we look at the big picture, Thragg's plan was both very clever and profound because this plan was truly a peaceful method. There would be no bloodshed, no war. Viltrumites would coexist with humans without harming anyone and gradually spread among humans who willingly became children and descendants. Mixed blood would become like Mark in millions of lives without any oppression or persecution. It would be win-win for all sides. Viltrumites would get the planet and species continuation, while Mark and Nolan would atone for destroying Thragg's home planet. This seemed well thought out and would work best now. No matter how evil and wicked Viltrumites were in the past, now they were offering an answer, "Please don't make me destroy my own last hope." Mark, after hearing this, was completely stunned, not knowing what to do next. He tried to negotiate about continuing to fight, but Thragg knew that if they really fought, the father-son duo definitely couldn't handle it. He was tired of having anyone die uselessly. The result would end the same no matter how many times they fought. So make your decision. Will you join or not? Of course, Mark would never allow this to happen. Even though Viltrumite blood gave him power, he had always rejected it. He was human and wouldn't let those who liked oppressing the weak mix with his people. Plus, the future of Earth would become Viltrumite Empire too. Why does it have to be like this? So my answer is no. But ultimately, thinking about a destroyed world, Mark had no other choice. My answer is, okay. After Mark was heavily pressured by Thragg's infiltration plan, ultimately not wanting the world to be destroyed, Mark thought about the world meeting its end and was forced to agree to join. Before thanking the father-son duo for deciding on something as great as saving both Viltrumites and all life on planet Earth. From now on, I'll leave permanently. You won't see me again. During this time, Zack quickly flew to find both of them, But Mark said the war was over and flew away, leaving him rambling alone as usual. After the Viltrumite war ended completely, everyone had to return to normal life. Though it wasn't very normal, because the war that lasted over 10 months left many wounds for the survivors. During this time, Debbie decided to break up with Paul, and the two guys returned home without Oliver's presence. Debbie was very shocked and didn't want to hear bad news, but knowing he was recovering, she felt a bit relieved. At this moment, Debbie told Mark to quickly go see Eve. She was in the worst condition. Mark quickly flew out while Nolan and Debbie had a chance to clear things up. Nolan was a bit sad that Debbie had a new boyfriend after their breakup, but Debbie was also angry. "You still went and fooled around with that bug alien." During this time, Cecil would warp to find Debbie just in time, and with very quick reflexes, he shot at Nolan immediately before realizing, "Okay, so you've come back as a good guy. Mark told us you've become good again, and this war is over now, right?" So they reconciled. During this period, the story would show us Cecil folding the robot project from Evil Invincible's corpse because the war ended first, and Zack returned to meet his father, both sporting similar mustaches. Every side seemed normal, but the side that looked worst was Mark's side. After 10 months passed, Eve, who we all knew was pregnant, had to go through many things, and her weight gain was clearly visible. Eve felt very sorry for herself to the point she didn't want Mark to come near, but Mark didn't care about this at all. He loved her from the inside. They hugged because Eve thought she'd never see Mark again. During this time, Eve would start updating about life, how the Invincible Ink Company was doing well, having Bulletproof as another addition. Eve's powers had returned to normal, and she had saved money to buy land in Africa. But even though everything looked okay, it was a very difficult time period. Without Mark, Eve's life didn't know which direction to go. But those were just a few problems, because after this, there would be big problems waiting for Mark and Eve, because everyone shouldn't forget that during Eve's pregnancy, her powers would fluctuate from hormonal swings. But now she said her powers were back to normal. So what happened during those missing 10 months of her pregnancy? While on Nolan's side, he confessed and sincerely apologized to Debbie. After being alone, he had settled all his thoughts. He had very high humanity. He felt guilty thinking about Debbie. He felt love for her. Everything was new feelings he just had, and it was very pure love. At first, Debbie wouldn't accept it, but looking at Nolan's face, she always softened because he looked with the most sincere eyes. Finally, Nolan promised they would never encounter bad things like that again, because he wouldn't lie to her anymore. On Eve's side, she would come consult with William again, because he had known all along that Eve was pregnant. But the main point was when William asked Eve if she had told him yet. As soon as he finished, Eve immediately burst into tears and said she didn't know how to tell Mark. This would be a secret about what this story was really about, related to Eve having a baby and her powers returning to normal. It was a very peak story that we won't reveal now. If anyone wants to know, keep following closely. As the story was entering the final phase of the war, Mark would come flying to review himself again. I handled Conquest. We destroyed planet Viltrum. We brought down the Viltrumite Empire completely, but now they're here. The war is over, but we didn't win. And this would be the summary of the entire war in one sentence. While the world accepted entry into the Empire, the scene would cut to Alan's side where he would receive a tablet recording someone's message. The message went straight to Alan. "Alan, if you receive this message, it means I'm gone." The message started talking about a hidden virus. It was the ultimate top secret and the final key that would let them win the Viltrumite war. Remember, when the time comes that war intensifies, abandon your friends and bonds with Viltrumites for universal peace. Use it to eliminate them completely without leaving anyone, and whether you agree or not, don't let my death be in vain. Signed, Thaedus. It seemed like now the Viltrumite war that we thought was over still had some fuel left. Just one tiny spark could set the whole field ablaze. Now Viltrumites were scattered across the world. THRAGG'S still existed. What would happen in the future was unpredictable, and what Alan would decide to do was even more unknown. But what we knew for sure now was that the Viltrumite war was over, but it seemed like it could explode again any time. After this, Invincible's story would continue with the war's impacts in many ways, and Mark would have to face many more life problems and major battles, including the battle where robots turned against all humanity. This was extremely heated. The war's end was just volume 78. There were still stories for everyone to follow until volume 144. If you want us to continue this story, please help this clip reach 3,000 likes. If it reaches that, we'll definitely continue. We promise. Like the video, and comment down your fave moment. Subscribe for more content like this.